I don't know if this is on a sheet. Shankaracharya Mahanjaya Sadhguru Bhagavan.
welcome to the Holy Precinct. This is GP 2025, very auspicious. It's said in the scriptures this is a very important pilgrimage day. And time with the Guru on this type of occasion is very meritorious, great punya, tremendous blessings. And this situation brings forth something within oneself. This environment, you may get absorbed, you may feel something that's phenomenal. And in order to feel it, it must be there. This situation brings forth what's already there. That means this exists all the time. The thing is being able to access it. So spiritual path is being able to access it more and more and more and more and more until one becomes absorbed in that reality. And the guru-disciple relationship is the supreme relationship because one gets on the train to the supreme. The train only goes to one place. If you get on the train and stay on the train, you'll reach God. And the main characteristic is perseverance. People come and have extraordinary experiences and then they disappear. But certain people have very few experiences and keep coming year after year after year after year. And it goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. I had the quality of perseverance. That was the one thing. I stuck with it. Perseverance definitely wins the race. Jake persevered. He did everything you're not supposed to do, but he became great. Perseverance goes a long way, and grace goes a long way. Grace is very important. This is an arena of grace. You see many people displaying manifestations of Kundalini Shakti. All the scriptures talk about Kundalini Shakti. Janeshwar Gita, Janeshwari talks about Kundalini Shakti. So you're in a situation where so many people are experiencing manifestations of Kundalini Shakti, and you're in that arena on Guru Purnima. You're in that arena with the Guru and with your own inner self. That is an extremely powerful arena. I mean, one of the strongest arenas in the whole country. It's very rare. So there's very great karma. It's tremendous influx of grace. And we were commenting, the same people come back year after year, but it seems like they're all doing better and better and better. Not necessarily outside, but inside. Being able to deal with things, being in a steady state, being focused. And they persevere. Transformative, transformation. So that's the idea. We're in an evolutionary process here. And this is the grand experiment where consciousness conceals itself, then evolves and then reveals itself in the human species. And that's where we come in. That's where yoga comes in. That's where the path comes in. This is a self-revealing experience. Not only is one touching the Guru in this situation, but they're touching the Gurus who stand behind this situation. So if I spent 16 years with Dhyan Yogi, that's part of my storyline. You touching me becomes part of your storyline. People touch you, become part of their storyline. There's some incredible people here that have incredible stories and do a daily practice, a strong daily practice for years. So we're in that arena and we pick up on that energy. It's moving around the room. Everything affects everything. Everything's touching everything. And this is the type of situation which we call the Sangha. the gathering of devotees, the gathering of disciples. There's nothing like the Sangha. People on Pearl Street aren't doing these things. People in Walmart aren't doing these things. Very few people are in this type of situation. And refuge in the Sangha, refuge in the devotees, it's really heartening to see people, they don't see each other for a year or for long periods of time, and they come back together on Guru Purnima, and they have a very close relationship, a spiritual relationship. They have something often they can't even find with who they're married to or who they're living with. Spiritual path is deep, the deepest connection, deepest possible connection. Purpose of life is spiritual evolution, and the purpose of spiritual evolution is to help consciousness to stand revealed. The fifthfold function of the Divine Mother: creation, sustenance, dissolution, concealing, self-revealing function. Self-revealing is Guru. The Guru dwells inside. It's not a person, it's a principle. But when it manifests in the guise of a person strongly, then people honor that principle there because it's a bridge. The physical is a bridge to the subtle, to the causal, to the supracausal, and to the supreme. Guru's a bridge. There can't be a better bridge. And if the Guru is a disciple, then that sets up a situation for someone to themselves to become a better disciple. If the Guru, because it's inherent in the blessing power, the Guru's life and the Guru's story is inherent in the blessing power. And the power behind the Guru is available in the blessing power. All these saints are in the blessing power because they're part of my experience and they're part of your experience. So you're in the room with all these strong, very strong influences, monumental, the cream of the Eastern traditions, avataric manifestations, incredible. There's not two divine presence, there's only one divine presence. The divine presence you experience in this situation is not a divine presence that's different than the experience around any great being. There's only one presence. Same presence was experienced around Krishna, Ram, Shiva, Durga, Anandamaya, Ramakrishna. There's one presence. If you get absorbed in the presence, you're getting absorbed in the same presence all these beings were experiencing. There's only one inner light that manifests in many ways. There's not a Buddhist light, a Hindu light, a Christian light, and a Muslim light. The inner light's the inner light. So these are universal. Everybody's got a gross body. Everybody's got a subtle body. Everybody's got a causal body. The supercausal body is very, very subtle. And the inner self. So we all have the same makeup. We all have a psychic system, chakra system, nadis, sushumna. We all have Kundalini Shakti inside, divine power. If the divine power wasn't there, we couldn't function. So in this situation, the divine power is operating at a different level of operation. It's not just providing the body with its normal functions. It's moving into the spiritual dimensions, into the subtle realms. It's purifying the inner psyche. I can't tell you what a unique situation it is to be with a number of devotees, to be in this type of situation. When I met Dhyan Yogi, he said I had been with him 8 lifetimes. This is the type of situation one would have to have previous merit to be in such a situation. Not just this time around. Many people here have been meditating for decades. But yet people that have just come, how many times in the past were they in this situation? What brought them to such a situation? So, And we have also a number of people going to share during the program. We have some special prasad, and Anandamai gives Devi Bhavs. Devi Bhavs a special blessing because there's gestures along with the Shakti, and each gesture is tailored exactly for that particular individual. It's a blessing gesture. These blessing gestures each have their own value. They're all specifically geared towards an individual, so it's a very rare blessing.
Can't tell you, my heart just feels like it's overflowing with every single person here. You're so special. I'm so glad all of you are here. Really, 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 I'm really glad. I felt like the bees are all flying back into the honeycomb, and together we're making some really otherworldly honey. And I also remembered how Ramakrishna, towards the end of his life, got on the roof and called out to the mother where to send the disciples. And of course, I also thought of that. I don't know why this came to mind to share. It has some relevance. This week in meditation, I saw in my mind's eye this picture of the scene unfolding, and it was in our cupboard, and it was in a pint glass ball jar, and there was this beautiful little, this is in the mind's eye, a beautiful little black, fuzzy, endearing spider that was of the mother. 8 legs, spiders have 8 legs, the mother has 8 arms. So this little spider was of the mother, but it was in this little glass jar, and it was going around, racing around in circles, circles, and it didn't really quite understand how to get out. It was going in circles in these grooves in the bottom of the glass jar, and didn't really understand the nature of why it was trapped, or why it wasn't getting the freedom that it was born to get, that its heart was calling for, that it's, so of course I was thinking of the embodied souls being sparks of the divine, black like Kali Ma, black like the void, filled with, brimming with infinite potential, but somewhat bound, not quite understanding the nature of the bondage. And of course, I was thinking, it's with Guru's grace, the cabinet that the little spider was going around in, he just ran harder and harder. Instead of knowing how to get out, he just ran faster and faster in the same circles, which are sort of like the samskars, the grooves we have accumulated through so many births. And the glasses sort of, like the ego, that seeing through, because it's so close up, we can't see it. We can't see that we're seeing through it. Anyway, what the thing was, that the cabinet was in the mother's house, and it was the mother's cabinet, which is the whole universe, and the cabinet and the Guru lived in that house. So the sense of the thing was that the Guru was there, and so this beautiful little expression of the one that couldn't quite get out. It was just a matter of time, because this was all, the whole Leela was happening in the Guru's house. So I don't know why that came to me to share.
And did it get out?
Yes, we let it out.
It got out.
You let it out. It was his teachings and his grace that let the little beautiful, endearing spark of the one out. The other thing I want to mention is I came through the other day, and Tripura and Lalita were polishing the brass, and they were so joyful, and they were so happy, and they were getting it ready for Guru Purnima, selflessly working their hearts out, and they were so happy. And Tripura said how happy she was, how much they enjoyed and loved doing it. And that night, when I came to the program, to the Arti, I looked up at the shrine, and there was no doubt that those lamps, oil lamps, the 2 large, there was no doubt that they had been actually altered by having been worked on and scrubbed on by Lalita and Tripura because of their heart and their dedication and their focus and their commitment to Guru. I came in and I saw, and for the whole program I was staring at those lamps thinking, oh my gosh, the lamps, it's like their vibration had changed because of the love in their hearts and the dedication and the selfless service. The lamps had actually compositionally changed perceptibly. It was like their vibration had increased to such a point that time slowed down around that increased vibration, and that the form actually had become more subtle. And I was thinking, oh, the Guru is the supreme polisher, and we're the lamps, and they did that because of their connection with him. That was the result, and he is polishing all of these lamps, and we're all the carriers of the light, and he's polishing us. And and one last thing, I always say what I'm the most thankful for the year, and there's two of them this year.
Two's good.
Two's good. One is that I'm just so thankful this year that that Guru is. You saw how he even stopped the chant to make sure it's okay with the flowers. I'm just so grateful for Guru being the divine protector, just not in the physical, also in the astral, in all the realms. Guru is always protecting. We can't forget. And when I came to the ashram in '97, I distinctly perceived like a thing over me of protection, and I felt like that ever since. So I'm so thankful for the protection. And the second thing is I'm most thankful for this year is spiritual family. Because we're getting a real spiritual family. And it's really nice. It's like we're a grid of lights, of support, of caring, and most of all of love, carrying the light out. And I'm just so thankful for the spiritual family this year, which is all of you all.
Do you have anything to share with us now, Dan?
I wanted to, along with our conversation that we had earlier about everybody that's been here and how things have gone, I've thought a lot about lately how in giving those satsongs quite often it feels like there's almost nothing to say, that the reality needs to be conveyed through those words, but the saying it and even the conveying it only comes down to how we live it. And it's been really beautiful to see not only everybody's relationship with the Guru and how the Guru shows up in you and Anandamai, but then to see how the Guru shows up in the community as well too. It's like we talked about earlier, there's, by and large, it's the same people, the same faces that show up again and again and again. But there's really a feel that it's the same people, but it's an entirely different group now. That this is an entirely different reality. And it's an amazing blessing for me to get to be part of that and to see that. Thank you for considering that.
Did you have anything for him?
Many people speak of doing great things, knowing great things, even being great. Yet after spending time with nearly anyone for even just a few hours, let alone days, you begin to see the cracks in their presentation. However, we're blessed to know this Guru who is the embodiment of living what he speaks. In this moment of writing, I've been reading the chapter in the Holy Gospel called Discipline. Baba speaks of the body being a very good servant. You can train it to do anything. You can train your body and mind to be strong, happy, and peaceful. Or you can train it to be weak, sad, and chaotic. For greatness, it takes regular discipline. The way Shank lives is the full embodiment of discipline. As he puts it, I do the same things every day. And as you know, there's discipline in his eating, his work, his expression, his divine approach, literally in everything. Surrender and sacrifice. Surrender. Surrender involves being able to accept whatever life presents and bring awareness into that situation. Shank speaks of surrender and says something like, we can surrender to a situation and make the best of that situation. We can surrender to a task and do it with right attitude and get the punya or merit that comes from doing that task. Or we can do the task with wrong attitude and gain no merit. And on sacrifice, he said, sacrifice has to do with doing more than what's comfortable. It has to do with pushing one's boundaries. It has to do with giving a lot and taking a little. You sacrifice your time, you sacrifice your energy. Sacrifice crushes the ego. Because one does things the ego resists doing. Through sacrifice, one gains great merit. If you haven't noticed, Shank is the embodiment of surrender and sacrifice. His whole disposition with life and the Divine Mother is one of surrender. He lives a life of oblation, the ultimate sacrifice. He sacrifices his time, his body, his energy eternally for the awakening of each one of us. Does he feel like talking with us about our ego problems? Does he feel like lifting us up through every challenge? You know it would be a lot easier for him to retire and simply meditate. Yet he gives until it hurts. Not because he necessarily wants to, but because it's what seems spiritually best. Shank is our example of surrender and sacrifice. Perseverance is not giving up. It is persistence and tenacity, the effort required to do something and keep doing it till the end, even if it's hard. Shank is my premier example of perseverance. If you had to guess what Shank's true middle name would be, it would be Perseverance. Each day he wakes, he goes to the coffee shop, works on the book, works on the ashram, leads every program. All are examples of his perseverance, not just to do it, but to consistently do it with a body that doesn't want to. If you're ever down and want to give up, but you know in your heart that you should keep going, look to Shank. He is our example. Devotion. Devotion is a trust, a love, a surrender, a commitment to something greater than oneself. It is love in action. This expression from the heart can be made to the Guru, for he is a clear reflection of the divine, a reflection of what we're here to realize, the self. Discipline, surrender, sacrifice, perseverance, and devotion are the backbone of many holy texts, like the Bhagavad Gita. And this is what our Guru is the embodiment of. He actually is the Bhagavad Gita. These qualities are what open our sails to the winds of grace, and the grace leads us to the consummate experience, which is the marriage of the individual with the Supreme. Whether you're terrified of scorpions or spiders, yearning for winks on match, still putting together the Peyton plan, can't get out from underneath Paul, Jim, or Tim, you're petrified to drive in the snow, you're longing for the family photo. You don't like the nickname like hindquarter Davy. Your daughter keeps faking a detour before coming to the ashram or try to, I don't know what happened there. Your daughter keeps talking about coming to the ashram, but there's always a detour before getting here. Or you're trying to be so cool with the shades, the beamer, and the string pants. Our opportunity, our blessing, is the Guru, the teachings, the Sangha, and the tradition. Guru Shankaracharya for a select few, our grace with a clear path to the Supreme. He's sitting right in front of us. What a blessing. It's time for all of us just to do it, to take the plunge. Eternal gratitude for the Guru.
Jai Guru.
So I was thinking a lot about Guru Purnima as it approached. I was thinking a lot about the lineage, really, and all of the holy books, and all of the things that you've told us over the years, and then it unfolded beautifully because it was happening in the front room, it was happening in the coffee shop. These aphorisms that you would say that stuck, and some of them had stuck with me so deeply that they had a profound effect on my life. And then I pulled a book out of my shelf, and there was 3 pages in the back of things Muktananda had as aphorisms. So I'd first like to read Muktananda's aphorisms, and then I'm going to read the things that you've said to us over and over again over the years. Aphorisms by Muktananda. Low and high esteem are both egotistical. Will others like you more if you like you less? Lying is not conflict resolution. To give up failure, you have to give up success. Romance is how grown-ups play make-believe. Clean up the outside by first cleaning up the inside. Simple is not dumb. Rebel against your wrong understanding, not against reality. Deep secrets make our alienation special. And one of the other things he said was, look within, it's the only way out. These are things that you've said over the years that have had a profound effect for me. One passes through 8 million lives to get a human birth, then countless births to reach the spiritual path in order to reach the Shaktipat tradition. You must have done something pretty good. This is the Divine Mother tradition, which goes back thousands of years, and is Shaktipat tradition. God is playing all the roles, God is appearing as you, God appears as the world, and God is squirting with itself. Reem is the telephone number. The single seed syllable reem can bring unity awareness. Your attitude, approach, and surrender bring forth the Guru reality. Have a high target. This is not a New Age music festival or a chant camp. Recognize the value of the Guru's grace. Through grace, anything is possible. Grace makes things available rapidly. This is a blessing tradition. This is an integral tradition based on Guru and grace. You're divine, grace is divine, and you're in a super situation, and the correct orientation makes everything available. Grace has to do with receptivity, not with being right. There is only that. Spirituality means awareness. The inner self doesn't age. There is only one playing all the roles. Forget about what you want. What you want doesn't mean anything. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. How you see it matters. You are not your thoughts. Things that come up in the mind aren't a problem. Identification with the thoughts is the problem. This is one of my favorites. If you can't love who you're with, how are you going to love ants, bees, trees, prostitutes, criminals, and everyone else with what they're doing? Changed my life. I love you, but I wish you weren't the way you are isn't very productive. Don't take things personally. Once you've taken it personally, you've lost. Being spiritual isn't all hearts and flowers. Surrender is the name of the game. If you're aware when you're serving, that you're serving the one through that manifestation, your service is never lost. Working it out means working it out with yourself on the inside. Yoga starts in the mind. You're working on the nature of your engagement. You're a process, not a product. Products come and go. You don't know anything. What we keep reinforcing in our daily lives becomes our destiny. Do what seems best with the attitude, whatever is best spiritually, let that come to pass. If you think you're the body, you're going to have a big problem because bodies die. And last, the one thing that you say over and over and over again that continues to unfold within me is, Om Lions Om.
You do anything, Sundari?
What I just feel here is the intense beauty of this moment. From the violin playing, the beautiful intensity of her mother playing the mantras and the chants. Just looking at her playing was overwhelming. But what I have been thinking about is Guru's talk, The Real Demonstration. Probably because there's a lot going on in the world and a lot of us are demonstrating. And sometimes we have opportunities to demonstrate and they might conflict with a spiritual higher thing. And that occurred for me, and I realized after listening to Guru's talk that the real demonstration, the real way, and Guru's mentioned it tonight, to change the world is to become more aware and more conscious within ourselves. That's the only way to bring about change. And so if we want the world to be a better place, we have to work inside this person with the Guru's blessings. The Guru loves us unconditionally. I read a book by Desmond Tutu, and he starts every chapter with the phrase, dearly beloved of God. And then he goes on to expound. And he also said, God is love. Guru is love. Guru is an aspect of the divine. He is embodied, he is here, and we are blessed to know that love that is unconditional, that is never disappointed in us. It is always, always looking for our self-awareness and our improvement. There is no mistake. We have a Guru, and we are blessed.
Another day, Kay.
Yay!
Greg, anything?
I didn't have anything prepared when I came in here, but something came to me as I'm sitting here that I wanted to share.
Tadruba?
No. You know, I'm around a lot of people who do not have active spiritual lives, or they're Bible builders. And when people find out that I have an authentic guru, they often ask me about, what is this person like? And it's obviously it's not something you can explain. But I have this image that keeps coming into my awareness, that I always share when I'm talking to these people. And the image occurred one day at the McAndrew ashram, and I was arriving, and this is when the ashram was in a major state of construction, which kind of was ongoing, but anyway. And I got out of the car, and I'm walking up toward the house, and you were standing on a ladder covered in red paint, painting window trim. And I was struck how that is so much the antithesis of the image that most people have of the spiritual beings in high states. So the way I always start talking about you is to tell that story. And the label I put on that is humility. And that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Jay. Mike and I used to work every day for years on construction. He would crawl under the floor. Sometimes the floor would be pressed against his chest, his mouth dropping. He got stuck under there for years. And we're not in that ashram, but all that work made it possible to make the profit that made it possible to buy this ashram, which made it possible to do what we're doing here. So everything leads to everything, and it just keeps moving. So Mike was actually part of what made this possible.
Jai Mike.
Jai Mike. Thank you, Mike. Do you have any words to add?
I was picturing him talking about you being covered in paint, and all I could see was the aftermath of us clearing out a bunch of junk, and we were just covered in soot, and I don't even want to think about what was on us. Had bandanas around our head and just sweating. And we went to the coffee shop, and we're sitting outside the coffee shop, and some woman came over and told us where the free soup kitchen was. Over, and all I thought about is, you know, the way that you look at things really changes what you can receive from what you're looking at. So if you're viewing somebody as a homeless degenerate, then that's what you're going to get from them. If you're seeing somebody as displaced guru, you're going to get blessings from the guru. And just something to think about as you move through life. The way you look at things matters.
Amanda?
All I wanted to say is that I'm so grateful. I'm grateful that you're polishing my lamp. And I'm grateful that others polish my lamp too. And I'm grateful for the Sangha. And I can't live without it. That's it.
And Davey Key.
Jay.
Way to do anything. Way to Davey Key, Jay.
Jay.
half. He did the whole 10 dasapujas, which took, what, a year and a half?
And so this Guru Purnima, I've been feeling to share the words of a song that was written about 15 years ago by Shanti after Tripura went to Ohio to see Guru for the first time. And it's always been a beautiful song with words that were so deep that I could not really comprehend. And I listened and listened and listened over and over, and sometimes wondering if the actual experience of the words would come someday. So some time ago, this big aha happened, and I found myself living into those words. And that's the space where concepts become reality. And some of those words we've already heard tonight, and we hear over and over, such as the fire, the depth, the meaning, the grace, and the presence of your love. And for all of us who have struggled and suffered in our mundane existence and still somehow managed to land right here, right now, in this extraordinary situation, Jai Ma and Jai Guruji. The fire of your love could consume me. Please consume me in the fire of your love. The depth of your love could drown me. Please drown me in the depth of your love. Falling into grace, this vast, holy, sacred place, like a pencil mark, I'm being erased by your love till nothing remains. The meaning of your love defines me. Please define me by the meaning of your love. The grace of your love transforms me. Please transform me through the grace of your love. Falling into grace, this vast, holy, sacred place, like a pencil mark, I'm being erased by your love till nothing remains. The presence of your love dissolves me. Please dissolve me in the presence of your love. Om Guru Om Guru Om.
Lady Devi King.
Jai!
Just that I appreciate you, and earlier you were talking about how the world is kind of in shambles, but because of you, we're doing our job here today. There's probably more light coming out of this room than the North Star. And I just appreciate you. I feel better than I've ever felt in my life. More joy, more calm, more peace. I lost a good friend, and probably shouldn't go there. But as much grieving as I've done because of it, I still feel better than I've ever felt in my life. So how is that? I mean, it's not because I had the perfect relationship. I just lost a good relationship. It's not because I had the best job. It's because I have the best guide. And I know I'm going to feel better because you are giving us the best path to walk if we choose to walk it. And I just appreciate everything you've done for me. And you're the reason I feel this good. Thank you.
can sing. Guru mera puja, Guru Govinda, Guru mera par Brahma, Guru Bhagavanta, Guru meri puja, Guru Govinda, Guru mera par Brahma, Guru Bhagavanta, Guru ka sabad न मीटे कोई, गुरु का शब्द न मीटे कोई, गुरु नानक नानक हर सोए, गुरु नानक नानक हर सोए, गुरु मेरी पूजा, गुरु गोविंद, गुरु मेरे पार ब्रह्म, गुरु भगवंत, गुरु मेरी पूजा, गुरु गोविंद, गुरु मेरा पार ब्रह्म, गुरु भगवंत, गुरु की शरण रहूं कर जोर, गुरु की शरण रहूं कर जोर, गुरु बिना मैं नहीं और, गुरु बिना मैं नहीं और, गुरु मेरी पूजा, गुरु गोविंद, गुरु मेरा पार ब्रह्म, गुरु भगवंत, गुरु मेरी पूजा, गुरु गोविंद, गुरु मेरे पार ब्रह्म, गुरु भगवंत, गुरु मेरी पूजा, गुरु गोविंद, गुरु मेरे पार ब्रह्म, गुरु भगवंत, गुरु मेरी पूजा, गुरु गोविंद, गुरु मेरे पार ब्रह्म, गुरु भगवंत, गुरु मेरी पूजा। जय मां।
Amen.